Ginny Wolf, your host, and I'm delighted to be here with members of Castle Craig, players, right? Players. And they have, we're all doing virtual, we're all doing Zoom, we're all doing whatever we can to keep theater alive, but they've got an upcoming production that looks like you've gone the extra mile on the importance of being earnest. So I'm delighted to welcome Ian Galligan, Oliver Kochol, Lisa DeAngelis, and Katie Kirtland. Welcome, all of you.
Oh, thank
Thanks
you
so much for having us.
Oh, I'm delighted. So there's so much going on, and I know that you've been up to something, Mr. Galligan, and I know I'm like watching on Facebook, I'm seeing the post. I'm like, okay, that sounds good. That looks pretty interesting. Oh, that's pretty cool. So tell me what you're doing. I know the importance of being earnest, as most people do, but what have you done to this play?
Well, we've been trying to stay very active through this whole time, and part of our goal was to try to find things that were unique, that were out of the Zoom realm, because people get really sick of the Brady Bunch boxes. Excuse me. So I had seen a production that the Irish Repertory Theater in New York City did back in December of Meet Me in St. Louis, which was completely done with green screens. Everybody was at home separately in their apartments, and the company sent them green screens and cameras and costumes, and they put together what I thought was one of the most unique and original virtual shows I had seen through this whole pandemic time. And I was so amazed by it. I remember saying to Oliver shortly after, like, how could we do this? Could we do something like it? And especially, licensing shows with streaming is very tricky nowadays.
I know, yeah.
So this show popped into my head, and I looked it up, and it was in the public domain. So I was like, we like that. We like that. And so I just thought it would be a great show to try out this new sort of technology with, and do a completely staged production, with this green screen technology to really make it feel like you're watching a show.
So does the technology have a name? Is there a platform that is official, or did you make this up as you went?
No, it's just a lot of greens. It's just a lot of green screens, a lot of digital backgrounds, and yeah.
Cool.
Computer magic.
Well, exactly. Theater, computer, Zoom, magic. So were people ever together, or was everybody completely separate?
We rehearsed mostly online, and then we found that to be problematic for its own reasons. You can't connect with people. You can't. You don't have that energy when you're slouching and it's 8:00 and you're pooped. And so we started to do some very cautiously scheduled, socially distanced rehearsals, knowing that ultimately when we filmed this, the idea was to never have two people on stage together where one wasn't somehow masked.
Right.
So we do a lot of over-the-shoulder trick shots with hidden masks, and a lot of, you film the same thing twice, and it's like a double exposed photo where you overlay the footage. It really looks really cool, to the point where we're like, are people going to think we were being risky?
Well, that's great. Yeah. So you became quite the videographer to do this. This is like doing a movie in a way.
Yeah, I think Oliver would agree that we bit off a lot.
It was definitely, Ian and I both went to school for theater, and now we joke around saying we also got a minor in video production and film, because it was really learning as we went. A lot of researching and adjusting up until the last minute. It's a whole new world, video and green screen especially.
Yeah. I mean, I've only done the goofy Zoom green screen and not gotten too involved with much more. So our two actresses, Lisa and Katie, who are Gwendolyn and I know the other name. Who is it?
Cecily.
And Cecily, exactly. It's only been a few years since I've been in it. How was it for you performing in this? Had you been doing much virtual theater, or was this a first experience? But it sounds like it was completely different anyway.
Well, virtually, Lisa and I had actually both been in Castle Craig's radio play of All About Eve very early on in COVID. Yeah. And aside from that, I mean, I've stayed involved with Castle Craig in particular. I certainly have never had anything to do with anything like this.
Yes. And how about you, Lisa?
Pretty much the same. Last year was a very quiet year, other than a few small virtual things. I pretty much creatively had zero output. So this was very good for me. It got my creative juices flowing. I honestly didn't realize, I knew I missed theater and performing. I did not realize how much until we started doing this. And it was different, but it definitely helped a great deal dealing with everything. It really was such a bright spot, and otherwise very kind of dark, lonely year for a lot of us.
I know. Well, that's funny because in the very beginning, we all just curled up in a ball and didn't want to acknowledge any of this. But then creative people have to create. And slowly, I think we've all just sort of crawled out of the caves and started doing things. And it's not perfect, but learning things along the way that we're not going to stop doing. I mean, would you agree, Ian? I don't think virtual theater is going to leave completely.
I think people like the accessibility of it. Yeah. And I think it definitely, at least for me, I've been able to watch shows that I wouldn't have been able to see otherwise just because of where I live. You know,
right, yeah.
Shows are streaming across the country and around the world that, you know, we wouldn't have been able to see because we're here. And I think that part of it will stick around. But I think everybody's, it's like we can sense the live theater coming back on the horizon, but it's not quite there yet. But, you know, we all, I think, found this as like a good, not only a creative outlet, but like we all felt rusty. So this was kind of a good, like, we have to get back into this. I know Oliver and I were like, it's been so long since we directed anything. And then
what stage left? Which is stage right? Back to basics.
Yes. And I think it was the same way for the cast too.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. So it sounds like this is going to look much smoother than most of our Zoom theater. Fingers crossed, Oliver. Just what I've seen, the bits and pieces that you've put out there on social media. Very, very different. None of this go off camera and you have that little ghostly head that sticks out around for a second, which drives me crazy. So,
it's been a lot of work on the, you know, since we finished filming it. It's the editing it's a labor of love. I'm enjoying it. I'm learning it. Oh, and by the way, I'm doing it all myself.
But of course you are. Yes.
Why not? You know,
that's another skill I've gotten is video editing. Yeah.
Right. Let's add that to the res. But it truly became, the idea was to just create a digital show, right? But it truly slowly turned into a movie where there's angles and we were storyboarding. And we had a clapboard and everything. That's
so cool. Well, I mean, you know what's interesting? I mean, it's glad, you know, that the show is in public domain and you're not working with equity actors, because I think now that's like a real sticking point. A reading versus a film is they're cracking really down for the unions, because the definition is there's a fine line when you do, but you're free to go. So tell people, how can we see it? When can we see it? How does that work?
The live stream premiere is Friday, April 23rd at 8. It's castlecraig.org. It's free to watch, but as always, we're accepting donations.
Yes.
Because it's been a rough year. So yeah, and after that, it'll be on our YouTube page to watch at your leisure. Oh, very fun! So it'll be accessible to everybody. Yeah, for quite a while. Very nice. So, did you change the script at all? Did you have to adapt things or change things in order for it to fit into this format? I use the word adapted loosely. I cut it. We cut it down from like 3 hours to I think just over 90 minutes, which is better for a visual, like a virtual setting. Yeah. And we had to cut out any sort of, you know, kisses or we did a lot of like hand kissing. You know, like, you know, somebody's off frame with a mask and we just see Lisa's hand come on and, you know, our Ernest kisses her hand. Yeah. Yeah. Very clever. Very clever. Yeah. What fun. Yeah. Because the rest of it is a bit of a reach.
Nice. And ladies, how was it? Was it weird acting with this? I know that it's really strange to act into a camera when you're used to stage acting, but was there strange things that you had to adapt to in order to be part of this?
The thing that caught me most when we were filming actually was that being used to the stage, I had really made sure to get off book, of course, before filming day. And then filming day would come, we're running through the scene, and like Lisa and I in our scene, or it happened several other times, we would just keep going for like 10 to 15 lines until finally Ian and Oliver were like, stop. We have to change the shot. And I was like, what do you mean stop? You would never stop me in the middle of a performance.
Yeah. Very cool. So Castle Craig can start creating movies, I guess. Fun idea. That's great. And so Oliver, what was your you were assistant director? So where were your skills?
He was a co-director right up there with me.
I was deep in the trenches with Ian, and I also do make an appearance in in Earnest. I'm one of the butlers, so I got to wear a couple hats. But like Ian says, I'm co-director, but this is definitely his brainchild. It is all comes from him. He's always trying to keep the organization, keep the theater, keep Castle Craig one step ahead of the curve. So, everyone started doing Zoom plays and fundraisers, and Ian said, let's make a movie. And I, as his collaborator, we work great together, had to be there next to him.
Yeah. Very cool. Yeah. So you've taken it to the next level. Certainly, Ian, you and I spoke back, not the beginning of COVID, like the few months in when you were already starting to do some stuff. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what's next for Castle Craig? When do you have we can all have plans and they go out the window, but what are your hopes for?
Well, I think I can say this now because I think we got the confirmation that we got the rights today. So we're going to be doing You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown outside in July.
Nice.
Yes, at the Bandshell at Hubbard Park in Meriden.
Good.
So that'll be 2 nights in July.
Yeah.
It's huge space, but it's a show we had in stock. We did it. We've done it twice. So we have all the costumes. We have all the sets. We had half the cast already still living here locally.
Yeah. Oh, nice. So you're just gonna kind of revive it.
And by hopefully by that point, everybody involved will be vaccinated enough that we're So that's what we're looking at for right now, and we're not looking past that because who knows?
I know. Yeah, because you've got a lovely little intimate space that.
Right.
Yeah.
So a social distance audience would be like 12 people.
Yeah.
Which is not fun.
Financially viable. Yeah, you can imagine. I know. Yeah, it's been a rough year, but it is nice that there's light at the end of the tunnel. That's for sure. Both for those of us doing theater and those who want to go to theater. And it's a good feeling. So castlecraig.org and start streaming on April 23rd, but you can find it in perpetuity for the most part. A really kind of different way to produce virtual theater. And that's going to be very exciting. I can't wait to see how you've done it. I hope I don't have to learn and steal any tricks because I don't want to do this for much longer. But it's nice that there's something cool going on. Great. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll get everybody online and watching your show. It's such a great classic. It's such a fun show to do. So I'm glad that it's going to be up there for everyone to see this time. Cool. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.